Hello and welcome back, and I know in some of my previous videos my pronunciation of the word router has really annoyed you when I say router. So just for you, just you, none of the others, literally just you, what I'm going to do is try to make it through this whole video pronouncing the word router. Let's see how many times I can get it wrong, because right now in a big comparison piece between the Google router and the Amazon router, I think we're going to hear me make a few mistakes, but let's see how this is going to go. Let's compare these routers now. That is right. Today we're looking at these two routers from Google and from Amazon. If you've been looking at buying a new prosumer router for your home or business, there's a very, very good chance that you have been considering these two devices. The reason being that they both purport to give you the best possible bandwidth that either brand can provide in Wi-Fi 6E, the new frequency that opens up the 6 GHz frequency band, and therefore all of the transmission of data between these routers and your client devices. And again, right now, both of these are the most recent additions to their respective router portfolios. So what we're going to do today is compare them in their hardware, a little bit in their software, and of course price and value to see which router is the best suited to your needs. So before we go any further, let's discuss what they both do, because regardless of which one of these two you buy, I would add that you're going to have a great network experience anyway. And obviously, both of these brands have analysed the market. They have sold several different routers in the past, and in that time they learned what the public wants. So regardless of whichever one you go for, you will definitely get the following. First and foremost, you have got obviously access to Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E. So again, that's the 2.4, 5 GHz and 6 gigahertz frequencies. They are tri-band routers through and through, both reporting around AX4200 to AX5400 as well. Now again, that will come up later on when we do talk about the hardware specifications and support wherever you are in the world. I hate seagulls. I'm not going to pronounce that word differently. On top of that, they both arrive in multi-packs to support that mesh router setup there. So 1, 2 and 3 packs, and there is better value buying the extra packs, but I will talk about that later on, because one brand certainly takes the lead on these routers than the other. Next, they are both set up with mobile applications. When you set up the device for the first time, you have to use a mobile app from the respective companies and their smart home appliances. Now, do bear that in mind, because a number of you that quite like having desktop applications there, or like utilizing browser-based access to the router to set it up and manage it on the fly, you will be disappointed with that. Next, they both support Thread and Matter, that universal language of IoT devices that are getting worked on by a consortium of big players in the networking market to allow much smarter integration of IoT and smart home devices. You're going to get that with either one of these. Next, they both arrive with dual-core ARM processors and 1 gig of internal memory, along with 4 gig of onboard eMMC storage there, which is really only used for running the device. You can't really access that storage in any meaningful way. Also, they've both got dual Ethernet ports there, so a WAN and a LAN, but again, big old difference we're going to come up to later on. And lastly, they both cover a very similar level of distance between them, supporting, in the case of the Amazon router, 2,000 square feet, and in the case of the Google router, 2,200 square feet. And obviously that it multiplies each time you add a new node. Also, in terms of security, they both support up to WPA3 in terms of network encryption and security. So they've got a lot in common. And you know, whether you are an existing Google or Amazon user, if you already know the rhetoric of the brands, then these routers are still going to give you everything you want on these setups. But they do have very core differences between them, and I would argue some of these differences are really going, even very early in this video, are going to make you pick one lane or the other. And the first one is going to be the price tag, because given these are two massive, internet brands, they've got a very different direction in this. The Google Nest WiFi Pro router arrives at 1 unit for $199, 2 units for $299, and 3 units for $399. So again, That is, every time you add one of those into the mesh router setup, that adds another 2,000 or so square feet of coverage, and they're all communicating to cover a larger distance area. So again, the 1, the 2, and the 3 pack. So it works out on the 3 pack about $133 there. And again, each one of those nodes is completely the same. Now, in the case of the Amazon Eero Pro 6E, things are a little different. One node at the time of recording, although I'm sure the price will change very, very soon now that the Google latest generation 6E router has arrived. One unit is $299. Again, that's a lot. 2 units are $499 and 3 units is $699. That is coming up on twice the price of the Google one there. So really, if you know the bottom dollar is what you're caring about there, the Google one is absolutely smashing the Amazon one in terms of price. But when we talk about price and how much you are paying over the counter, or at least putting into the internet before you buy it, there's a difference between price and value. And now we have to really dig down into the value of these two devices, because they are remarkably similar. As mentioned, they've got that tri-band support. They're both 6E. What could there possibly be to differentiate them between them? Well, 2 main things. We'll tackle the first one in terms of that hardware. The Amazon Eero Pro 6E router, this device has got 2.5 gigabit Ethernet there on the rear. Now that's really important if you happen to have an internet connection going into your home or business that is greater than gigabit. That is larger than 1 GBE or larger than 109 megabytes per second or 1,000 megabits per second. And thanks to fiber being adopted in the majority of large cities worldwide, getting a greater than gigabit Ethernet internet speed is not that hard anymore, and it's actually getting a lot more affordable. And when you get your router, the last thing you want to do is connecting it either directly into the internet for your home or business environment, or using the ISP router that's provided to you by your internet service provider and then connecting this through that. The last thing you want is your Wi-Fi 6E prosumer router being bottlenecked to 1 GBE immediately, which is what's going to happen on the Google device. If you have, 1.2, 1.5 gigabit Ethernet there running in to this router, you're going to be restricted to 1 GBE immediately, which isn't the end of the world. But if you're paying for that larger internet connection, it's a real shame that it's going to get bottlenecked and all the other connected users are now getting less. So that's one of the reasons why the Amazon Eero Pro 6E maintains that higher price point, because of that greater than gigabit Ethernet. The other thing to bear in mind is backwards compatibility. Now, earlier on, I mentioned about having an existing network environment or smart home environment with either Google Home or the Amazon IoT services, Alexa and stuff like that, and voice command stuff all throughout your home for the lights, the plug points, the TV, the music, and of course the router. Now, between these two devices, there's one enormous difference: backwards compatibility. Why the Google router is not backwards compatible blows my tiny mind. It is more affordable, but at the same time, if you're an existing Google network, or a Google router, I should say, I said that word, Google router network, then you may already have the original Google Wi-Fi router or the follow-up Nest router before this one. You can't integrate this new 6E router into that network. You have to replace the whole network or have a secondary network utilizing this new mesh node router system. The fact that you can't you can't gradually upgrade the routers in your existing Google Wi-Fi mesh setup is a real shame, and it probably is one of the reasons why the multi-packs of the Google Nest WiFi Pro router costs much less than everyone else, because they know users are going to have to jump on that if they want to replace everything. Now, Amazon Eero Pro 6E is backwards compatible. You can utilize it with existing Eero or Amazon Eero routers in your home, so it makes it a great deal easier to gradually upgrade that network in your home or business environment there. Now, both will still utilize and be able to communicate with the bulk of respective Google or Amazon smart home devices in your environment. But when it comes to integrating them into an existing mesh router network, you can't do that with the Google, but you can do it with the Amazon. It's a big, big difference. Now, another thing between these two that's worth touching on, with their respective software that is controlled via the mobile apps, both of them, it should be highlighted, their respective applications are more geared towards smart home and IoT management than they are specifically a router tool. This is a bugbear that I've mentioned in other videos, but and again, some of you in the comments mentioned it in my original Nest WiFi Pro router review, you highlighted that it was odd that I was featuring this product on the YouTube channel. I included it because a lot of people had requested it, but also because it is a device a lot of people are going to get behind. And I thought, while we're talking about the greater subject of routers, nearly did it there, I wanted to make sure this was featured, and therefore we could compare it against other routers that we featured on the channel, such as, you know, a lot of the D-Link devices, TP-Link devices, QNAPs, QHORA series of routers, and of course some of the recent Synology routers as well. So that was one of the main reasons I got it on here. But there's still no denying that when it comes to managing the router via its own dedicated app, both of these devices don't have their own dedicated app. They've only got a general smart home app which allows you to configure and manage the router respectively, but not to the same prosumer standard as all of the brands I just said. A lot of the easy stuff is there, you know, low-end port management, you know, opening up ports as necessary, enabling certain features, firewall adjustments there, changing, you know, creating guest networks, you know, maybe the odd multiple SSID kind of control, family control, that sort of thing. But these are things that we kind of already see engaged with smart home devices anyway. When it comes to more scaled up things like utilizing third-party software like pfSense and stuff like that, or much more restrictive or far more secure port external network connections, these apps gave very little configuration tools on day one. And although they do manage a whole bevy of devices each, I think it's 100 devices for each node for each respective router, I will say that both of them together give you a greater smart home experience than they do a router experience. And neither one of them, I would say, is a fantastic router. I would only say, and I said the word again, I think that's my third strike, I think between these two routers, what you have is kind of easy, accessible consumer novice routers, not professional experience routers in terms of configuration and, you know, adaptability. Now, the last thing I'll talk about is support, because both of them are coming from two enormous companies, arguably two of the biggest companies in the world. So I want to know about support. Now, there's obviously the usual support. They've got live chat and stuff like that. And when you purchase the device, you can buy it directly from Amazon, Eero, or Google, respectively. But warranty has always been something of a tricky wicket when it comes to routers. Most routers don't give you great warranties for a device that is so incredibly important in your home or business environment. You know, this is the entrance, the gateway for the internet into your home or business, the locked door, if you will. I want to know this thing is going to last. So it's really strange to me that whereas the Google Nest WiFi Pro router arrives with 2 years of warranty, the Amazon one only has 1 year of warranty. That's really short. That's worryingly short. I talk a lot about warranties, a lot of the products that I've got behind me for the channel, and these can range from 2 to 3 to 5 years of support. So even 2 years seems a little bit penny pinching, but 1 year of warranty support on the Amazon Eero Pro? That's really disappointing, particularly when you remember that price tag. $299, $499, $699. That's really surprising that it's only a year. And I'm sure, and I haven't looked into this, but I'm sure there will be warranty extensions. There will be added service stuff that you can add on. But for that price tag for a router, 6E or not, that's a big ask. It's a 1 year risk that I'm just not prepared to get behind. But ultimately, which one of these two do I recommend? Well, obviously, if you're an existing ecosystem user of the Google or the Amazon kind of IoT smart home, then chances are you're already kind of made that decision towards which router is best for you. But if this is some of the early stepping stones into the world of smart home for you, or the first stepping stones into mesh Wi-Fi routers, then I would say that the Google one, between the two of them, unless you have a greater than gigabit Ethernet connection running in, this router is probably the better deal. Keyword, deal. Because you don't have to worry about the backwards compatibility, and if you don't already have a greater than gigabit Ethernet connection, then you're not going to lose out. Now, that might change down the line when, maybe your ISP provides you a better internet connection, but if you don't think that's going to happen, or you're living somewhere where stupidly fast fiber running your way is so far away it's not even a concern, then this device is going to be very appealing at that $399 price point. And to have 3 of the mesh routers together for $399 and that enormous 6,000 odd square feet coverage, it's really hard to argue with that. But if you're an existing Amazon smart home, Alexa and stuff like that user, if you have a greater than gigabit internet connection now or sometime in the near future, go for the Amazon Eero Pro 6e, because you're only buying a bottleneck in the case of Google. And also, if you're an already existing owner of Amazon Eero router mesh points in your home or business, the backwards compatibility almost makes this a no-brainer as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think I got the pronunciation wrong 4 times, but I'm sure someone in the comments will tell me otherwise. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching. Like if you've enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to learn more about these devices and more. Use the guides linked in the description to reviews on all of the products I talked about today, as well as links to other helpful guides for improving your networking, your router connections, and just generally the data security of your home or business. Finally, the free advice section there over on Ask NAS Compares, and over on NAS Compares itself in the genuinely free advice section there. And finally, if this video has helped you, and only if you're planning on buying these devices from Amazon, then if that is the case, do use the links in the description below. Utilising those will cost you nothing, and it really helps me and Eddie carry on doing what we do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.